I have a few updates for this month, being October 2021, regarding the disappearances of Amanda Robinson and Robyn Hickie in 1979. But first I will mention that David McCorriston, the brother of Warren McCorriston, had another committal hearing in regards to alleged and unrelated historical sexual assault charges at Newcastle Court on the 13th of October. I saw no media reports and expect little new information was gleaned at this hearing. Now, back to the main updates I have this month. On the 4th of October, Newcastle's NBN News had a lengthy news item in regards to the disappearances of Robyn and Amanda. I'll play some excerpts from that report now, which includes interviews with Amanda Robinson's brother and his recollections of the night of her disappearance, another interview with Warren McCorriston's ex-partner, who details the assaults he committed on her, as well as what he told her about how he knew Robyn Hickie. And there's also an interview with Robyn Hickie's mother, Mary, given at the time of Robyn's disappearance in 1979.
A team of detectives combs a Lake Macquarie dig site that could be the key to a mystery that's haunted the hunter for more than 40 years. These latest developments have prompted a woman to speak publicly for the first time. In 1981, she was 19, and in a relationship with Belmont man Warren McCorriston, she suffered months of violent attacks.
He was punching me and he ended up breaking my ribs and puncturing my lung. I felt like he was going to kill me, and I felt like it was on his mind all the way to that hospital. The attacks and the rage were coming from nowhere. You couldn't predict it, you couldn't see it coming, and all of a sudden he would just attack.
She recalls him talking about how he knew Robyn Hickie. They had attended Belmont High School together, but he never wanted to talk about her disappearance.
He would always shut the conversation down. He was never willing to speak about her. Later on he told me that he would catch the same bus as Robyn into town to work.
The police have also searched bushland in this area, but have found nothing, and they now hold grave fears for Robyn's safety. Were you immediately concerned?
Very concerned because it was so out of character for her.
Just a very popular kid who had a lot of friends.
Her brother Mark says Amanda promised she'd come home from a dance with a school friend.
She was supposed to get a lift home with the same person, but they left early or something. But Amanda rang my stepfather and asked if it was okay if she'd come home on the bus. He fell asleep and didn't pick her up, so she walked home. I'd hate to think we'd go to our graves without knowing something.
Lake Macquarie detectives will next use a drone equipped with ground-penetrating radar at the former Nords Wharf Scout Camp, capable of scanning several metres underground.
Well, it seems the scanning with ground-penetrating radar has occurred. A report from the Daily Telegraph on Wednesday the 27th of October states, and I'll read this, detectives investigating the probable murders of two Lake Macquarie teens more than 40 years ago have quietly returned to a scout camp to continue digging for their remains after ground-penetrating radar found some anomalies in the soil. And specialist police have returned to the former scout camp this week as they continue to chase down new leads in the disappearances of Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson. It follows the use of ground-penetrating radar across some areas of the lakeside site, revealed some disturbances in the soil, suggesting it had been excavated at some stage. Nothing has been found, but the dig continues on Wednesday. The following night, October the 28th, NBN News had a further update. Unfortunately, I do not have the audio for Jane Goldsmith's report, so you'll have to put up with my voice instead. Specialist police have completed a 3-day dig at a former Nords Wharf Scout Camp, uncovering several items. Detectives investigating the 1979 disappearances of teenagers Amanda Robinson and Robyn Hickie have told NBN News certain exhibits have been collected and will be analysed. Ground-penetrating radar showed anomalies in the soil, suggesting it had been dug up in the past. They've been excavating those areas in the hope of finding remains or new evidence. The following day, the Daily Telegraph elaborated further on this. Exhibits taken for testing. Bags of exhibits have been taken away for analysis following a 3-day search of an old scout camp linked to the disappearances and suspected murders of Lake Macquarie teenagers Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson. Archaeologist and forensic anthropologist Dr. Penny McCardle was able to confirm bones found at a third dig site on the former Kanangra Scout Camp were animal and not human. But forensic experts and Strikeforce Arapaima detectives will still send away a cluster of sealed bags for specialist forensic analysis after ground-penetrating radar found man-made soil movement on the site at Nords Wharf. The 3-day search was the third time police had visited the site on the banks of Lake Macquarie to search for evidence, including human remains, relating to the 1979 abductions of Robyn Hickie and Amanda Robinson. A 2-day ground search in August was followed by the Australian Federal Police arriving to use a drone with state-of-the-art ground-penetrating radar to look for any anomalies in the soil suggesting dig sites. The radar identified 3 distinct sites, with Dr. McCardle joining forensic officers and investigators this week as an excavator removed soil to be sifted through. The dig was only expected to last 2 days, but continued into a third after an area near where an old building once stood needing to be examined. Police have stressed the excavations were for completeness and thoroughness as part of the broader investigation. The old scout camp, which is now a construction site for a new housing development, has links to a person of interest in the investigation. Robyn, 18, disappeared from a bus stop on the Pacific Highway at Belmont North on April 7, 1979, as she waited for a service to take her to a Belmont pub to catch up with friends. Exactly a fortnight later, 14-year-old Amanda Robinson vanished just a few hundred metres from her Swansea home after she got off a bus and was last seen walking along Lake Road. Strikeforce Arapaima was established more than 2 years ago to investigate the 1979 mysteries. Detectives ruling out long-held belief that backpacker killer Ivan Milat, who was staying in Lake Macquarie working on the roads, could have been responsible. Instead, they believe a second serial killer was calling Eastern Lake Macquarie home and is responsible for both disappearances. Okay, so a bit of updated information there. We had the interviews by NBN at the beginning of August. Warren McCorriston's ex pretty much establishes there was a fair bit of violence there, and she even felt her life was at risk, that he was going to kill her. You can't say that she definitely knew that was going on in his mind, but she was, it seems, very frightened at the time. Also, he did know Robyn Hickie, and she mentioned how he caught the bus with her when he was going to work. Yeah, probably is a little bit odd. He wouldn't talk about her disappearance, but we can't really say anything definite from that. So what do we have then? Yeah, the interview with a brother kind of establishes some of the facts there. And it does seem a bit unfortunate that a stepfather fell asleep so he couldn't meet her. So it seems they have been very thorough at the former Nords Wharf Scout Camp in investigating the soil. The ground penetrating radar seems to have clearly shown some human disturbances of the soil in the past, and they have been very thorough in digging that and investigating. They've sent away a lot of stuff for forensic investigation. So you would imagine that if there is anything there, they should at least find some indication of that. Though it could end up being another dead-end lead, but whatever the outcome, I'll keep you updated on this and any other developments. So make sure you subscribe and click on the bell to be notified when I upload future videos. I'm David A. Elliott. Have a good one and see you around like a rissole.